我是成昌公司彭昭群。成昌公司26年来，我们秉持着品质、服务、创新的3大宗旨，并不断提升产品的稳定度，来满足客户的需求。我们的产品行销全世界30余个国家。那由于产品的性能与价格具有相当的竞争力，所以我们得到很多客户的赞赏。近年来，由于切削刀具的进步与切削技术的创新，客户对于传动部件的要求越来越高。那除了提高加工的速度与效率外，对加工的精度要求也是越来越严苛。这趋势也就造就了成昌公司一系列创新产品。在我们雄厚的电机背景之下，结合法人机构的资深工程师，我们先后发表了包括直线电机、DD 直驱转台、内藏式主轴这3项产品，都是以电机的本质优势，包括它的速度、精度、响应，来取代传统机械结构的不足。就如同电动车的市场，电动车的马达取代传统汽油车的引擎，这就是未来世界的趋势，更是我们成昌努力的目标。
Here we go again. MTS Industry Channel is back at Soul Power, your #1 source, your #1 supplier for everything related to industrial motor applications. And again, today I'm being joined by Soul Power's international sales manager, the one and only Sam Lee. Sam, welcome back.
Hi, Camille. Thank you very much. Thank you for having us on your channel again.
Thank you for having us here at Soul Power. So today we have a very interesting topic. We want to talk about rotary tables, right?
Yes, DD or direct drive rotary table. Yes.
Direct drive rotary tables,
Yes.
Excellent. Now, before we get into today's topics, rotary tables, Sam, before the show, you shared with me you got some feedback from people watching previous episodes.
Yes.
So what did you get there?
We got some interesting feedback and some good feedback.
Okay, you're saying a good feedback and interesting. You don't use the word bad. You're
Well,
saying
because we don't
interesting.
believe in a bad feedback. Well, it's kind of funny though. We're being too slow.
Too slow. Okay, so we want to speed it up a little bit, make it
Yes,
a little bit more,
yes, maybe we
spice
can
it
speed
up a little
Yes,
bit.
yes. I
All
hope
right.
so. Yes.
You'll share some jokes with us or something.
Sure. And maybe you can speak some Chinese.
To make it fun? Well, you know, my Chinese is not as good as yours, but we'll
Thank
try.
you very much. No, but don't be so humble.
Okay. Well, I mean, that's the Taiwanese way. You have to be humble, right?
Yes.
All right, but
absolutely.
let's, okay, that was our chit-chat in the beginning. Now
Sure.
let's get into
Sounds good. Sounds
today's
good. Sounds
topic. Direct drive rotary tables. So we can see you have prepared some of your models
Yes.
for us. Maybe you can talk a little bit about what we're seeing?
Well, here I'm going to just introduce 2 models because we have over than 20 models now. In
Oh, wow,
production.
okay.
So, yes. So here's our smallest one. That's called the SDRT 125. The rotary blade diameter is 125 and the center height is 110.
Okay.
And behind you.
Oh, wow,
okay. Yes, it's our biggest DD rotary table. It's called the SPBMS.
Okay.
650. The rotary blade diameter is 650 and the center height is 360.
Okay.
Yes.
So, Sam, you are the sales manager here at Soul Power. So,
Yes.
how do you help your customers usually to pick the right model? So, me as a potential customer, what do I have to look out for? What do I have to pay attention to when choosing a rotary table?
Well, good question. Every part in the rotary table are very important. So let's start first introducing our DD rotary table in general.
Wait. DD? What is DD?
Well, it's how they said it in Asia. Direct drive stands for direct drive.
Okay. So
it's a simple way
so
to.
it's an Asian way of.
Yes.
Because direct drive is too hard.
Direct drive is DD. Yes.
DD is easier to pronounce as well.
Yes.
All right. Sorry.
Thank you.
So you wanted to talk about the components of.
Yes. Well, the main components of the rotary table is the first one is the motor elements. The second one is the bearing system. The third one is the clamping system, and the fourth one is the encoder system. But in general, users or customers, what they first ask about is the torque.
Torque. Okay.
Yes.
Torque is very important.
Because it's related to the size of the DD rotary table, as you see here.
All right, so I would assume the bigger the rotary table, obviously the bigger the motor that you can install inside and the higher the torque?
Well, technically yes, but we still have the rated torque and the maximum torque.
Okay.
So the rated torque is when the DD rotary table operates continuously without getting overheated. Mm-hmm. And when it comes to the maximum torque, it's when the DD rotary table working instantaneously.
Okay, so we've got rated torque and maximum
Yes,
torque.
so the rated torque is for workpiece cutting, and the maximum torque is for workpiece turning acceleration. And by the way, if you see here on the table, the maximum torque is 4 times bigger than the rated torque.
Like a rule of thumb?
Yes,
for
yes.
all motors or all rotary tables?
Of course, especially we use magnets here, so absolutely it's higher, yes.
Okay, so obviously, me as a customer, I want to know, like, you've got different models, and you need to tell me what's the rated torque, what's the maximum torque, right? So how do you measure that?
Well, good question. Thank you for asking that. We use the UL bench, the UL dynamometer bench to test our direct drive rotary table, and contains of 3 parts: the load motor, the power meter, and the torque meter, where we use this bench to test the direct drive's torques and speed characteristic.
Okay, so
Yes.
it's like a testing bench following UL standards?
Absolutely, yes.
And you just mentioned a load motor, power meter, and torque meter. Can
Yes.
you explain these?
Well, in simple words, we don't want people to think that we're getting too, too slow
Technical?
here, too
Oh.
technical. Yes.
Okay.
So the load motor, in simple words, is when we want to find a suitable torque to test our DD rotary table, which we call the torque testing. And the torque meter and the power meter is to record the data we just collected.
Okay. Actually, I think we should maybe get a little bit more technical and
Yeah,
talk about
I
the
was
details.
afraid. I was
yeah,
afraid
can you
about
talk
that.
a little bit more about?
Okay, well, the first thing here in this area, we need to tune our DD rotary tables by using a servo motor to make sure that our DD rotary table runs smoothly without any load. So the standard procedure here is to make the motor run clockwise for 1 minute
Okay.
and anti-clockwise for another minute.
Okay,
and
got
the
it.
current difference between both directions should not exceed half amps.
Okay, 0.5
Zero,
amps.
yes.
Okay, so what's next?
Well, after that, we set up the DD rotary table on the test bench with the load motor, and we have to make sure that both of the shafts are coupled perfectly. After that, we apply the test torque, as I mentioned before.
Okay.
So the DD rotary table start to run from 0 to its rated speed.
Okay.
Then we start recording some data,
Okay.
such as the power, the speed, torque, voltage, current, temperature, so on.
Okay, so collecting all kinds of relevant data. Now you just mentioned
Okay.
temperature, and temperature control is something we want to talk about as well. So
It
how do
is,
you,
it is.
Yeah, how do you make sure that your rotary tables do not overheat?
Well, it's one of the most important factor here in DD rotary table. So we use, as you see here in the table, we use a KTY silicon sensor.
KTY sensor?
Oh, yeah,
okay.
we have it embedded inside the DD rotary table. And it's also a BTC kind,
PTC.
a positive temperature coefficient.
All right, all right.
Yeah, which means in simple words, the resistance of the sensor has to be proportional to the current temperature.
Okay, got it. Now, the sensor, of course, does not directly adjust the temperature, but it's very important for temperature control. So, Sam, how exactly does this sensor help prevent your rotary tables from overheating?
Well, in simple words, the sensor will just send a feedback of the temperature to the controller, and the controller can stop the motor at any specific temperature.
Okay, so that's how it works, but I'm sure you also have to test that, right? So
Absolutely, we
you must
test it.
follow some kind of procedure as well there?
Of course, yes. Thank you for reminding me of that. We tested according to NEMA, the Electric Manufacturing Associations. Yes.
Okay, so that's NEMA, but installation class F. Maybe
Okay.
you can explain it.
Now we're getting even more technical. Okay, well, it means in an environment of 40 Celsius, the allowable equilibrium.
So an
of the
environment
rated-
like here feels like it.
Yeah, it's kinda. Yeah.
Okay, 40 degrees
40
Celsius.
40 degrees Celsius, the allowable equilibrium of the rated torque increases and should be less than 105.
Okay.
And in order to reach that kind of equilibrium, I mean the temperature equilibrium, we should run the rotary table for 3 hours.
For 3 hours? Wow, that's a long
Yes.
time. Why exactly? Why 3 hours?
Well, because during the first 30 minutes, the DD rotary table temperature rises rapidly, then start to become stable. When I say stable, I mean the temperature starts rising 1 Celsius per 30 minutes.
Okay.
Yes.
So after 3 hours, it's reached the peak? most of the
We
time?
can say so, yes.
Okay, so now let's see if I have understood what Sam has just been telling us. So if we have a surrounding temperature of, let's say, 30 degrees Celsius, and then on top of that we add the 105 degrees that you were just talking about, then we would have an equilibrium.
135?
135 degrees,
Yes,
is that correct?
Absolutely, yes.
Yes, 100 points for me, all right. But 135 degrees Celsius, that's how hot the motor gets inside your rotary tables. I wouldn't have expected that. It's so high.
Well, it's very common when it comes to the DD rotary table. As I mentioned before, during the rated torque, the DD rotary table operates continuously. So we use a robust sensor to avoid the DD rotary table from getting overheated and burning out the coil. And this is how we define the torque.
Okay, got it. So that's the built-in KTY sensor, monitoring the temperature and obviously sending out signals about the current temperature level.
Of course.
But you must also have some kind of system in place, Sam, that with which you can reduce the temperature and keep it low or below a certain threshold,
yes,
right?
Of course, yes. In simple word, we have to use a water cooling system, right?
Okay, a water cooling system.
Yes.
Now, you talked about some of the most important components of a rotary table.
Yep.
And that water cooling system, it runs through all those parts, all those components?
Well, no, not that simple. The DD rotary table operates through the interaction between the stator and the rotor.
I remember from our last episode.
Previous episode, yes. So the stator and the rotor create a magnetic field and an electric current inside the coil to generate a torque in a form of a rotating rotors. So the highest temperature and the power generated from these parts.
Okay.
So we have to design a circumtensional water cooling on a workpiece, which is called a water jacket. Then we have to assemble that, the water jacket, on the stator. Yes.
And that's basically how the water cooling system is structured.
Absolutely,
and where
yes.
most heat dissipates from.
Sure, of course.
All right, so I think we've covered this whole area: temperature control, heat generation, cooling. And Sam, you just mentioned the stator and the rotor, and as I said, we talked about these components in the last episode when we were talking about motorized spindles. So I'm wondering, are those the same components?
Well, basically they're the same. They both have a stator and rotor. The only difference is, in motorized spindle, the rotor can be made by copper, aluminum, and magnet. But when it comes to the DD rotary table, the rotor can only be made by magnet.
Why is that? Why not the other materials?
Because the torque is higher, that's why.
So the other materials are not suitable?
Yes, when it comes to the DD rotary table, yes, it's not suitable.
All right, excellent. Now I do remember that you highlighted last time that all the components of your motorized spindles are made in-house. Every single component, right? Now I'm sure people out there might be wondering, hey, what about the rotary tables?
Absolutely, end-to-end, all the way, yes.
Oh wow,
We have the total control over each manufacturing step. Let's say the motor lamination tooling or the stator bunching process. Each lamination has to be stacking automatically and constantly. So we make sure that the total height of each stacking with a tolerance with plus minus 0.35 millimeter.
0.35 millimeters.
Absolutely,
All right,
yes.
very tight tolerances.
Yes.
I mean, it's crazy. So what about the winding?
Well, we make our own winding machine with an optimized tension control to make sure that each stays the same throughout the whole process. After all, quality is one of the most important factors in solar power, and cost effective as well.
Okay, so high quality, high precision, and cost effective. That's what solar power is about?
Absolutely, yes.
All right, excellent. So I think we can make a cut here. Sam, I don't know about you. We take a break. 休息一下.
Sounds good. 休息一下.
Right.
Yes,
okay, let's do it. So we'll take a quick break and then we'll be back talking about the mechanical components such as the bearing system in more detail. Don't go anywhere. You're watching the MTS Industry Show, and today we're again at Soul Power, and with me here is Sam Lee, the International Sales Manager.
Hi.
Now today we are talking about the direct drive rotary tables, and in this segment we want to highlight their capabilities in terms of the manufacture of mechanical components, because there are some people out there who believe that Soul Power is just motor technology expert. Well, those people are mistaken, Sam, right? Because you also have the capabilities, the machines, the know-how, the experience to manufacture mechanical components yourself.
Absolutely, yes. We do have like over 50 mechanical components inside the DD Rotary table.
Wow.
So besides the fact we design it, we develop it, we also manufacture all the parts here in-house.
Every single part of these rotary tables that we see here,
absolutely,
you manufacture yourself?
Absolutely, yes. Blissfully, because the increasing of our revenue.
Oh, good for you.
Yes, thanks. So we have invested heavily in our R&D resources and our manufacturing technologies.
Okay.
So as at the moment, we have 2 factories, 4 assembly lines.
Wow.
And speaking of the DD Rotary table, our topic today, we have over than 20 employees working in the R&D department, and over than 20 models in production as we speak.
Okay, 20 models. So I think it's time for my second math equation of the day. So we've got 20 models times 50 components that you mentioned for one rotary table. So that's 1,000 components. Of course, some of them are the same components, but still a few hundred different components that you need to manufacture. So how do you make sure that you keep or that you reach the high quality for every single one?
Well, for the past few years, speaking of the DD Rotary table, for the past few years, we have enhanced and upgraded our capabilities in both the quality management and CNC grinding machining department, both in hardware and software.
Okay, hardware and software upgrades. Can you tell us a little bit more?
Well, in hardware, at the moment, we have three CNC grinding machines, 2 electric high gauge, and of course, beside the CMM instrument inspection. And software, we already have the product ID card, which we include in it some specification, like the vendor code, some parts number, delivery date, some critical dimension of some parts.
Okay.
So our R&D teams can easily access those info at any times.
Okay, so hardware solutions and software solutions.
And very soon we're going to be applying the QR system.
Okay, so QR product code system soon to be implemented.
Yes, very soon.
Okay, excellent. Now, Sam, 50 components, and from these 50 components, there are a few that are necessary to build the bearing structure, right? And it's a very important component of the rotary table.
Of course, as we mentioned earlier, the bearing system is one of the most important factors when it comes to the DD Rotary table. Absolutely, yes.
Okay, and I think you've got something prepared for us to talk a little bit more in depth about the bearing.
Absolutely, we got a few things we want to show you.
Okay.
And yeah.
So let's do it.
Let's take a look.
Okay. So Sam, the bearing system, take it away.
Yes, well, speaking of which, the bearing system located in the front area of the DD Rotary table and behind the clamping system.
Okay.
Yes.
Now, when we're talking about bearing systems, I would assume there are different kinds of...
Actually, there are a lot of types, yes.
Okay.
But today we're going to mention like three types because we're going to speed it up today.
Right.
So let's see table 4.
All right, okay. 3 types?
Yes, as our audience see here, we have the table roller type there, and the cross roller, and the axle radial.
All right, and you just mentioned your customers, so me as a customer, what kind of considerations do I have to make when choosing the bearing type?
Well, any customer will first consider the price.
Right.
So yes,
the budget.
Pricing is the first factor here. Then comes the quality, the rigidity. Then comes the stalling space.
Okay, and how do they differ?
Let's start with the table roller pair. It needs more space because it's assembled back to back with a spacer between them. So obviously it has a low rigidity, and the price is low as well.
Okay, so this is like the cheaper variant.
Yes, well, if you want to mention, yes, it's cheaper between those 3 types.
Okay, then the cross roller?
Yes, the cross roller type, as our audience see, needs less space to install.
All right.
Although it had the same rigidity as the tapered roller ones. But the price is higher a little bit.
Okay, higher than the tapered roller pair type.
And the last one, finally we have the axial radial one. It has the best rigidity, and of course it costs much more than the other 2 types.
All right. Now, of course, I mean, the main factor here is for many potential customers is their budget, obviously.
Absolutely,
But
yes.
if we are talking about direct drive rotary table, which of these bearings is most suitable, you think? I mean, probably the high rigidity one?
Well, of course, at Soul Power here, the most important thing when we produce, when we manufacture any product is quality. So back to your question, of course, axial and radial type,
Right.
it's more suitable for
If it's within the budget.
Absolutely. I mean, it still depends on the customer too. We still use other brands, other globally well-known brands such as
Okay.
INA and Myonic.
All right, all right.
A few years ago, after an intensive quality control inspections and rigidity testing, we decided to use our own, because in the past we used to use just those well-known branded. But as you know, and our audience know, we all want the best price and of course the highest quality we can get. So we now manufacture here at Soul Power.
And you mentioned earlier you invested heavily in some equipment, like manufacturing
Yes.
equipment, grinding machines,
CNC, yes, CNC equipment
inspection
machines, yes.
equipment,
Yes.
and that's why you have the capability
Absolutely,
to
yes.
manufacture bearings yourself.
Totally, yes.
Okay, so axial radial type, that's the type that you install on your direct drive
course,
rotary
of course,
tables. So
yes.
maybe you can tell us a little bit more about the axial radial type.
Of course, well, the axial radial type is composed of 5 parts:
Okay,
the retainer, the roller, the body, and the front and the rear case.
all right.
Here at Soul Power, we consider the body and the front and the rear case as a 3-piece structure. So the retainer hold the roller within these 3-piece structure.
Okay.
Right? So these parts, all of these 5 components, has to be done here in house and at our CNC grinding machine department.
Right.
So we'll make sure that the geometric precision within 1 micrometer. Of course, that's include the flatness and the parallelism as well.
1 micrometer, so that's a
Absolutely.
0.001
Yes,
millimeter.
absolutely,
Very
yeah.
tight tolerances.
Yeah, well, after we measure these critical dimensions, we apply them into the product ID as a one set. So each one of those have the same tolerance.
Okay.
And the gap between the ruler and the 3-piece structure is within -5 micrometer. So that means after the assembly, we compressed the ruler, each ruler, by 5 micrometers. We call that the interference assembly.
Interference assembly, okay.
Yes.
Now, how do you go on about increasing the rigidity if you want to reach even higher rigidity?
Well, okay, well, first of all, we need to understand one thing. Compressing generates the rigidity.
Okay.
So in order to increase the rigidity, we need to increase the interference as well. And as we all know, if we increase the rigidity, of course the temperature goes up during the turn of the DD rotary table, of course.
Right.
So back to your question, if we want to increase the rigidity, we have absolutely to reduce the speed. Yes, and that's how we measure the rigidity.
Okay, control the bearing rigidity.
Yes.
And speaking of bearing rigidity, Sam, how do you, in practice, how do you inspect, how do you check the rigidity of your rotary tables?
Okay, let's see here, table number 5.
Okay.
One of our assembly line, we have a bearing rigidity test in one of our assembly lines. As you see and our audience see, it contains of the base, the arm, and the load.
All right.
And you see here, the axial radial bearing is assembled on the base. So throughout this load, the bearing will deform it, will change. So we use the gauge, yes, to see the value of the deformation, to measure the value of the deformation. Of course, in order to calculate the rigidity. Yes.
Okay. Now, axial radial bearings, that's the type that you use. Now, how many different models do you have?
Well, so far we have 5 now. The BRT 80, 120, 150, 200, and 260. The 20, the 80, and the 80, 120. It's the inner diameter of the bearing.
Okay.
Yeah.
Now, obviously, you manufacture motors, you manufacture direct drive rotary tables, so I can buy rotary tables from you, but could I also get just the bearing?
Definitely not. No, it's not for sale. We don't sell them.
Why? Why is that?
Because, I mean, we spend a lot of effort and we invest heavily in manufacturing these components. So far, we're just gonna use them just for ourselves.
Okay, so bearings made in-house.
So does the clamping system as well.
Clamping system as well. So as we
Absolutely,
said,
yes.
all like we're not lying. It's
End
true.
to
Every
end.
single
Every single
part.
Yes, absolutely, yes.
Okay, so you just mentioned clamping systems.
Well,
Maybe you
yes.
can tell us a bit more about the clamping system.
There are two types. Speaking of the DD rotary table, there are two types. As you see here, the pneumatic piston and the circumference type, the hydraulic circumference type.
Okay, so why don't we talk about the pneumatic piston type first?
Well, we at Soul Power we only use the pneumatic piston type. Yes.
Oh, so those are the two most common.
Yes, most
types?
common one. But at Soul Power, you only use this type, the pneumatic piston type.
Circumference type, you're out.
Out. Absolutely, yes.
So, pneumatic piston type. Tell us more.
Okay. Well, the pneumatic piston type is composed of two major parts. Of course, obviously the piston and the liner. The liner is fixed. We assemble it fixed on the DD rotary table shaft, and it turns synchronously with the shaft. And the piston is located behind the linear, and the piston is either driven by liquid or air. The mechanism, in simple words, is when the piston moves forward, of course, it forces the linear to climb up on the motor, right? And when it moves backward, it will release the clamp.
Okay.
So as we see here, that's the way we calculate the clamping torque.
Okay.
So here, the TC is equivalent to mu, which stands for friction coefficient.
Okay.
All multiplied by P, the pressure, A, the area of the piston, and multiplied by R, the radius of the piston.
Okay, so that's the equation, how you calculate the clamping torque.
Yes.
So now you've basically turned into my physics teacher.
Sorry.
So I don't understand anything.
It has to be said, yes, sorry.
But maybe you can give us an example or tell us how, in real life, how do you test the clamping torque?
Okay, well, there is a clamping torque and a clamping rigidity. We use our UL certified bench to test the torque here.
Okay, there's a bench again?
Yes. So by coupling the load motor with the DD rotary table perfectly, then we force the piston to clamp on the motor case. Hence, in that situation, the shaft is locked.
Okay.
Yes. So gradually, after that, we'll start applying the torque until the DD rotary table turns. That moment we'll have our clamping torque.
Okay.
Regarding to the clamping rigidity, we use the dial gauge to measure the radial deformation of the rotary table.
Okay. I think I'm slowly starting to understand it. It's kind of complex, so maybe we can illustrate it by talking about one of your products?
Sure, absolutely, sounds good. What about we talk about our largest DD rotary table, if you
that
still
one?
remember? Yes, absolutely. The
Sure.
SBB
okay.
and
So clamping torque, if you want to measure it for that one.
Okay, let's go. Here you go. So as you see here, after we do the required calculation, we'll get the clamping rigidity of 500 Newton meter per 3 arc second, right?
Okay, so that's the process that you just described, right?
Yes, absolutely. So let's see. When we apply a 500 Newton meter torque to the shaft, during clamping, the rotor will turn 3 arc second.
Okay.
Well, in other words, the angle degree is equivalent to 0.0008.
0.0008 degrees. Wow,
Yes.
that's crazy.
Yeah, but it's very, very common when you're talking about the DD rotary table.
Okay.
So then when we stop applying the torque, the shaft will go back to its original place instantly. And this elastic deformation is called clamping rigidity.
So that's actually what clamping rigidity means, what it is.
Yes.
Okay, a very complex process. So Sam, thank you very much for explaining it to us and for sharing your knowledge with us.
Our pleasure.
And the reason why we've been talking so extensively about all this is because we wanted to illustrate that Soul Power is not just a motor manufacturer, right?
Yes,
we also have the capabilities, the knowledge,
to
and the machines.
DD rotary tables, absolutely, and as well as the motorized bundle.
And following all important international standards.
Exactly, started from the stator and the rotor, yes.
Okay, beautiful. So we're done, I think, with our main part for today,
yes.
but we want to answer a few more common questions
Yeah,
regarding
absolutely. Sounds
your
good.
rotary tables.
Sounds good. Sounds good.
Sounds great.
Sounds
We'll be
great.
back in a few seconds. You don't go anywhere. An MTS Industry Channel show without a Q&A session? That wouldn't feel right, not happening. It's time for questions and answers. Sam, are you ready?
Yeah, absolutely, yes.
Okay, so of course you want to focus on your direct drive rotary tables.
Yes.
And I know that SolPower has been manufacturing motors for about 25 years. Now, how about direct drive rotary
7
tables?
to 8 years.
7,
today,
8
yes.
years. Okay, now can you talk a little bit about your after-sales services when it comes to rotary tables?
Well, we rather call it an after cooperation service.
Cooperation, okay.
Yes, because we're always looking for partners, not just a one-time deal. And we've been here for 25 years. We'll still be here for you, even if you have a problem. We're 21st century. You can get in touch with us and we'll be with you 24 hours a day.
Okay, so that applies to rotary tables and also
Absolutely,
all your
yes.
other
This is our
products,
own.
right?
This is our own technology, our own product. So we have total control over every manufacturing step. So whatever the question, whatever the issue, we'll be there for you.
Okay, excellent. Now, question number 3 or topic number 3 is the delivery or the lead time for custom rotary tables.
Custom rotary table takes about 2 to 3 months to design, develop, and manufacture a new customized item, product.
Okay, not too long.
Yes, about it, yes.
So, and how about repair time? If I run into any trouble, I need to fix something,
Well,
send it in?
Well, from the moment we receive the product, it takes about 2 to 3 weeks.
Okay.
Yes.
2 to 3
then
weeks?
we'll ship it
Then
back.
ship it back to the
Yeah,
customer.
to be on a safe side. I mean, it takes about a week.
Yeah.
But, being a sales, I have to think in advance. So yeah, will take 2 to 3 weeks.
Okay, gotcha. Now another thing that is very important for potential customers is the warranty. So how long is the warranty for your rotary tables?
If you don't mind, I think I would better put it this way. Every manufacturing steps we have here at SolPower, it's based on a global standard. Whether it's UL standards or ISO standards, etc. So if we want to say about guarantee, we guarantee our product 100%. And it's because it's being globally guaranteed.
Right.
Back to your question about the warranty.
The time, yeah.
Yeah, we warranty our product. We give a warranty for about a year. It's
Okay.
not about a year
So that's
or
a
something.
standard warranty.
A standard warranty for a year, yes.
For a year. Okay. Now, right now, because of COVID and whatnot, traveling is not so easy. But if you put that aside, under normal circumstances, if I wanted to visit you here to see all your manufacturing equipment, testing equipment myself, could I just get in touch with you and just come here to Taiwan?
Of course. Well, the factory is still here and will be here hopefully. Yes, our customers are always welcome to visit us. Taiwanese customers or foreign customers.
Okay, international
Yes,
customers.
absolutely, yes. Absolutely, yes. They're all welcome. Yes.
Anytime.
Anytimes. Yes.
All right.
Just let us know 5 minutes ahead.
Okay. So, Sam, I think I'm through with my list. I don't know if you have anything else to share about SolPower or about your direct drive rotary
Sure,
tables?
if you still have time for us, yes.
Sure.
Okay, well, fact, we've been here for 25 years. Fact, we've been manufacturing the core technology of the direct drive rotary table for the past 25 years. Fact, we have so many global, well-known certificates that I start forgetting how many we have.
Okay.
Fact, we already took you on a tour.
Right.
The first and second factory.
That's right. If you haven't seen the first and second episode.
Yes. Fact, we also took you inside our establishment to see our CNC grinding department, to see our inspection equipment. We took you around all over the place, right?
That's right.
Yes, to
I
be
do
more.
remember, yeah.
So this is also a fact. We guarantee our product as SolPower been establishing its own brand for the past 25 years. So the core technology is here. The guarantee, if you're not an existing customer, if you are a potential customer, the guarantee is here because we also have it for you on our website. So it's also a fact as well. You know, we have been in this business for 25 years, not only because we're good at what we do, no, because we can guarantee 100% what we do is on the top notch. So yes, these are facts.
Okay, facts about Sol Power. Sam, thank you very much. How did you enjoy today's show? Did you enjoy yourself?
We had a lot of fun, right? I mean, besides the high-tech stuff, we still had a lot of fun today.
Yeah, it was absolutely. It was fun, and we'll be back very soon with a new episode, right? Maybe you can share a little bit about what we'll be talking about.
Well, we're going to be, I mean, our next episode,
Yeah.
I think very soon, it's going to be about the encoder system, laser accuracy,
Okay.
and about the stator and rotor as well.
That's right, stator and rotor's components, which
components.
you also sell individually,
Absolutely,
right?
yes. We can sell the DD rotary table,
As a-
inner stator and rotor as well.
Okay,
Yes.
so you can not only buy motors, but also motor components.
Absolutely,
from Sol
yes,
Power,
yes.
and of course with Sol Power quality.
Absolutely, yes.
Okay, beautiful. All right, Sam, again, thank you so much for having us today and telling us about your rotary tables.
Thank you very much. The pleasure is ours.
And thank you for watching, and now make sure to check out Sol Power's website, have a look at their direct drive rotary tables, and also make sure to tune in next time to MTS Industry Channel at Sol Power. See you, bye-bye.
Bye-bye.